Okay, let's get rid of that there. Little test comment on the screen. So, we're going to go ahead and get started here. Looks like there's about 100 people in here, so we're going to go ahead and get the ball on the road. For those of you that don't know, well, first off, I guess I should say thanks for tuning in to the live stream. I assume my audio levels should be totally fine as this is how I record. So, if you have not heard the news, we have an article here we're going to be looking at from WindowsCentral.com. Zach, Mr. Bowden himself, with a really nice article, which there are a couple of new bits of information here. A lot of this is stuff that we have kind of speculated on for a really long time and things I had been hearing as well. But, I'll put it this way, there's a difference between me hearing something and maybe not being able to totally confirm it versus then Zach coming along and saying, yes, I've heard this as well. This is confirmed. So we're going to take some things and move them from the rumored column and into the very heavily rumored, if not confirmed, column. So like I said, we're going to be looking at this article here, and I'm going to put it in the description so everyone can go click on it and go give Zach a click for this article, because this is where this stuff is coming from, and he deserves all the clicks you can give him because of that. Let's go to my little side-by-side here thing. Microsoft scraps plans for dual screen Surface Duo 3, pivots to new foldable screen design. So this is something, like I said, been rumored for a pretty good long time. We were going to be going from a dual screen device to a single folding OLED, and that does appear that that's where we're going. But there are some additional little weird things or little details about this as we go forward. If I see comments, by the way, that I think are worth highlighting or to specifically answer through this, I will be doing that as well. So thanks for those. Microsoft's new foldable Surface phone won't be a dual screen device, according to my sources who are familiar with the company's plans. Now, this is something we've been hearing for a while. One of my more reliable sources, somebody who sent me an image of the Duo Go, the cheaper canceled Surface Duo Go. The same person that sent me that stuff told me several months ago that Microsoft had been prototyping at least 2 or maybe even 3 different designs for Duo 2 over the last like 18 months or something like that, and that they were settling on a not a dual screen device, a single folding OLED. Now, apparently there were also some talks, maybe there was a prototype, maybe there wasn't, of a 360 hinge, right? So something that could open up but then fold all the way back around, so you would keep your postures, tent mode, and these sorts of things. Excuse me. But apparently this is scrapped, and they have settled on a design which is going to be very, very reminiscent of your Z Fold type device. You're going to have a cover display and an internal disc screen. That is where we are going. Let's continue here. After a long year of hardware prototyping and experimentation, the company has decided to pivot over to a more traditional folding design, and he explains basically what I've just said. I also prefer 2 separate screens, if I'm being honest, but it is what it is. It is what it is. It is a little bit of a bummer for me as well. I am terribly sorry to be relaying this news to you. Hopefully you're not surprised, because we have been talking about it for a while. I'm told this new foldable device came about after the company had already finalized a dual screen design for Surface Duo 3 that was supposed to ship at the end of 2023 as the next Surface Duo. So that is actually pretty interesting to me, because I was hearing stuff about them prototyping folding OLED stuff for a good while. So this makes it sound like maybe they were ready to go with a new Duo 3 that's dual screen, and then this final decision, maybe the prototyping was intended for like a Duo 4, and so we killed the 3 and moved the 4 up, basically. And this kind of leads us into, I don't know if it's exactly next in the article, but it kind of leads us into the next kind of like new bit of information that's kind of scary, which basically I'll get to it later, but basically that fall might not be when this thing comes out. This thing may slip into the following year, which is super duper disappointing. Really don't like hearing that, but it is what it is. The dual screen design has now been scrapped, And the Surface team is now focused on delivering this new true foldable design. I don't like the true foldable thing, right? I guess that's the age-old question. Does Duo fold, or is it a hinge and it opens and closes? Who's to say? It's still too early to know the exact specs of this new foldable device. Sorry, I just got distracted. It's too early to know the exact specs that this new foldable device is going to feature hardware-wise, or whether or not Microsoft plans to simulate a dual screen experience via software. Okay, so that's another thing here. So a lot of people in the comments, I believe I've already seen this once in here. Someone said it. It may be gone now. Oh, here we go. Surface Mono. Well, what if this thing with a single folding OLED screen runs the exact same software as Surface Duo and Duo 2 currently do? Because, like I've said before, Android does not see two screens. It sees one screen, and there's software that partitions it, right? So you could do the exact same thing with this device. Now, we don't know for sure that that's what's going to happen. We don't really know anything. Now, I was told as well that there was some radical, I forget the wording that this person used. I guess I could pull it up, but it was some radical changes to the software being made that would change the way that the device was used. I don't know what that means. They didn't want to elaborate any further. So whether or not this thing, look, if it comes out and it's just this with a Surface logo on the back of it, there's really going to be no reason at all for me to purchase the thing. If it doesn't at least behave as though it has two screens in such a way, like what I mean there would be like, imagine you've got a software line that goes down the middle of this device. And if I click on an app over here, it launches it automatically in split screen on that side of the screen. If you click on an app on the other side, it does the same. You could do that. And that's what Duo is already doing. You could just do it on a single folding OLED screen. If they don't do that, I don't really know what we're doing at that point. You think it's too early to expect some form of Windows 11 OS with the Android store? Absolutely. It is way too early to expect that, and it may never be the right time to expect that, because more stuff we're going to read in this kind of backs up this idea that Microsoft is pretty much committed to Android. Microsoft recently filed several design patents for a single screen foldable with a 360 hinge. I heard that this was maybe being prototyped, but at least being explored. His sources say this is not going to be what we're getting. It's a single 180 screen. It's open and close. Of course, with the change in form factor, may also come a change in name. So perhaps all of you people saying Duo is dead are going to be right in a way, because it won't be called Surface Duo. He says it's too early to tell, but given the device isn't a traditional Duo form factor, perhaps they will change the name of it. But internally, it is still considered a third generation Surface Duo. So it will be a Duo, whatever it is, the name might wind up being, it would still be in spirit a Surface Duo. I promise I'm going to try to read some of these comments as soon as I've been kind of going through the article. He says, my sources also tell me there's a larger software effort going on internally that is designed to better differentiate its future Android hardware offerings from the rest of the competition. And this is really important. Like I said, if it's just this with a Surface logo on the back, there's no reason to buy the thing. We talked about how Microsoft had this recent reorganization where all the Android projects are under one banner now. They're really focusing on Android. People said Microsoft needs a mobile OS. They have one, and it's Android. That's what they're doing. This effort is dubbed Perfect Together and aims to deliver an ecosystem experience between Microsoft's Android hardware and Windows PCs, similar to that between an iPhone and a Mac. This is really interesting too. I also hear that Microsoft is eager to expand its line of Android smartphones offering. I have not heard of this at all. This is new to me, and has been exploring several different form factors to ship in addition to a foldable device. Well, nothing is set in stone. Zach says, I'm told the company has already prototyped several traditional slab smartphone designs, which could ship as a mainstream Surface phone offering. That is very, very interesting. Overall, these changes to plans for Microsoft's standard efforts are significant. My sources tell me Microsoft is remaining all in on developing its own Android hardware and software, at least for now. I'm going to put a link to this article again. If you haven't clicked on it, click on it and go give them some ad revenue for the reporting there. So to summarize, I guess there was a part, was there not? Did I skip the part? Oh, here we go. Yeah, I skipped this part here. My sources say there's no concrete shipping window for the device in place yet either, meaning it is unlikely to be ready for this fall, which tells me that some stuff has been chaotic behind the scenes for this thing to still not be coming along. That is absolutely crazy. So again, to summarize here, Surface Duo 3 might not make it this year, and it is almost certainly not a dual screen device. It is a single folding OLED device. It is not a 360 hinge. It opens and closes with a cover display on one side, a la Z Fold. Oppo Find N2 is this person is mentioning that device. I need to stretch this out a little bit further. There we go. Yeah, so yeah, I'm not surprised, right? Because we've been talking about this stuff for a really long time. When's my oldest video talking about this thing being a single folding OLED screen? It's gone back months and months and months. So I'm not shocked by this by any stretch of the imagination. But there is some new information in there, right? The fact that it might not make it this year. That's surprising. I was under the impression that they had kind of finalized design long enough ago that we might make it this year. That is disappointing. The idea that they might release a single, like a normal traditional phone under the Surface banner running Android is really, really crazy as well. Thank you so much for that, AD. That is an incredibly generous super chat. Very, very, very thankful for that. Thank you so much. Let's see here. What makes them different from another folding screen Android phone if they... Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we were talking about a little bit. This is still not lined up correctly. I'm sorry. I've not done a live stream in a while, and things are just a little wonky, so we're just going to roll through it. They would have to do stuff with the software. They would have to make... You could still... It could still be a Surface Duo with one screen. The software just has to act as though it's one screen. And I can demo this to some degree, right? Let's do this. Let's do this really quickly. So I'm going to cast my Duo screen using Phone Link, and let's take a look at that really quickly. And let me get rid of that chat really quickly so you can see. So this, when you look at this looks like one big screen, right? Even though I'm holding this up and it is a dual screen device. This is how Android sees Surface Duo. And Microsoft's software, what this does... Oh my goodness, AD. You've lost your mind. You've gone insane. That's too much. Please don't do anymore. You're making me feel bad. This is how Android sees Surface Duo, as one big screen. And Microsoft's software is set up such that when you click on a link on one side, let's pick one I can open, YouTube Music, it just automatically opens it up into a split screen window on that side of the screen. That's all they're doing. And they could do that on a device that has one big screen, right? That's absolutely something that they could do. So to that question, what makes it a Duo? They could still do that. A lot of people are going to feel this way. They bought Duo because it's not a foldable screen, because, fragileness, right? Like Microsoft actually has a patent where rather than using ultra thin glass across the face of the screen in the middle where the bend is, they're using some kind of like a plastic polymer type thing. Will they do that? I don't know. It's possible. If they push back for come on guys. If they push further back and go for the same form factor as everyone else, I don't think it will go well. It's essentially be a first gen device again. Yeah, and some of that got cut off. So many Duo users already feel burned out. Yeah, it's a potential risk, absolutely. Glad I jumped on YouTube. I am also glad that you jumped on YouTube right now. Thank you for tuning in. I rather than delay the phone and have it. This is what was the Shigeru Miyamoto quote, right? Like a delayed game is only bad until it's out. A broken or buggy game is bad forever. It kind of applies to this as well. I'd rather them take their time. What will it be? What will this look like? Look, the Pixel Fold is probably going to be in my hands before then. Am I going to care about, the Surface Duo Fold by then? We're going to have to find out. Think of using a Duo as two individual monitors and computer setup versus using... Yeah, I've used this analogy a million times. I have two monitors for this exact reason. The physical partition does do things to your brain, and I would need to see the software I'm talking about. I would need to use it to be able to really tell you, yeah, it's just as good, or it's 90% as good, or something like that. Lots of comments to get through here. What if it has a full external third screen? I don't think that they're going to do anything crazy like that. I think that they want to. I don't think that they'll go any more non-traditional than they already are, because they're going to have to get priced down. They're going to have to bring that price down, because it's a big problem for Duo already. So basically, 2 screens never was figured out as an improvement. I don't think I would go that far. I mean, I guess that depends on your perspective, right? So for me, until I can experience this thing with 1 screen and the software behaving as if it's 2 screens, and I can tell you that it's just as good, I'm going to assume that what I have on Duo is better, because when I compare there's a reason my sim is in my Duo and not on my Fold, because I do prefer the 2 screens. If they can prove to me that you can get to the same place with 1 screen, then I will say absolutely. It really was the cheap foldable. Was Duo cheap? Was Duo too cheap? If it was the cheap one, it wasn't much cheaper. Did I get another? Wait, is there another? How many super chats are there? AD, did you do 2 50s? Surely not. 1, a 20, and a 50. My lord, you're killing me. That's entirely too much. Now I don't know how to make it go away. I can't get back. There we go. Okay. That's too much. It's too much super chatting. What's the point of it taking the place of a phone if you can't have a phone-like posture to take calls, and no external screen would make it? So yeah, if we're talking about, I mean, that's one thing, right? That with a lot of people complain about with Duo is that phone mode is folded open and around, and now it's wedge shaped, and that's awkward. So it will have a better phone-like posture, which is, you know, potentially a maybe a better thing, but it's, I don't know. I mean, I'm a little bummed out. Like I said, I'm not surprised, because we saw this coming, but it is a little bit of a bummer. This is why I like my LG V60 2 screens. Yeah, the V60 was a great device. We actually tested this thing here with the dual screens, and it was a very, very cool device. If I were to even buy a fragile OLED foldable, which is unlikely, I'd much rather get one from a more established brand with better warranty support. Yeah, and I think that, you know, Daniel, we've talked about this a little bit, that Microsoft has not done themselves any favors with their recent warranty support. Some people, you know, struggling to get their Duo 2s replaced and so forth. You know, it's been it's not doing them any favors, because people aren't have a tremendous amount of confidence, right? You're going to buy a device that the perception is that it's fragile. And look, folding OLED devices are more fragile in a lot of ways than traditional screens. But I don't think they're as fragile as some people think that they are. But still, you know, if you think that they're more fragile, and they are a little bit more fragile, and you're concerned that the warranty stuff might not be as good, are you going to buy that thing? It's definitely something to consider. Sandra, a long-term member here in this channel, thank you for that. I think if they did a software bezel when running traps side by side, instead of just 2 apps side by side with no border, than the single fold, I think that there's a chance that it could be very, very similar if they do it correctly. I absolutely do think that it could be a fairly similar experience. I guess for me, I'm hesitant to make definitive statements until I can know for sure. So I absolutely leave for the possibility that is going to be very, very similar. I just would need to see it before I'm willing to like fully commit. My wife is texting me something that I think might be some sort of important thing. I'm doing a live stream right now, but that's fine. Handling life. Okay, so what else we got here? Did AD, did you do another one? Did you for real do you've done 4 now. Someone please stop him. You're making me feel terrible. Let's keep going. I wish Microsoft would buckle down and dedicate itself instead of treating mobile users like guinea pigs. I love their products, but it's frustrating to have it abandoned as soon as it gets great. Yeah, so I can see that perspective, right? Like you're on Duo 2 and things are really getting good, and then now they're going to something totally different. What's going to happen with Duo 2? I imagine it's going to continue to have software support and things are going to continue to roll on with it. But it does feel a little bit crummy to be like, man, like now we're on to another thing that I don't necessarily want, or maybe that's totally different from what I'm used to. I can get that perspective, and we definitely treated like guinea pigs. We kind of have been beta testing this thing, so it's not going to fold 360. So is it technically going to have 3 screens? I mean, if you consider a software partition down the middle, technically it's just 2 screens, but maybe that one screen maybe will behave as though it's 2 screens. Let's see here. Yeah, leave a like. Leave a like, everybody. 3rd time's the charm. Yeah, they do say that. I don't know how often that's correct, but they do say it. I mean, the Surface Pro devices, the 3rd one was starting to get really good. Why not build a Duo 3 like the 2, but without the camera bumps that folds complete? Because the vast majority of people expect to have a pretty solid camera on their device. The reason we added the camera was because, you know, I'm sure their data told them that they were losing sales and that they were losing intrigue from people because they didn't have a usable camera on the back of their device. So they went that route. And if you do this, you're probably for real, dude, for real. You're probably not gonna have to deal with that. You're not gonna have a wedge. You're still gonna have a bump, but you could put a case on it. Cases are gonna work now with Duo 3. Oh my lord, finally. So if folding screen, no need to buy. I mean, a lot of people are gonna feel that way. A lot of people. Let me ask you this: how many of you in the chat will not buy? And I guess I'll do a poll on this. How many of you, because it's folding OLED, because you've heard the horror stories about Z Fold. Let me just tell you this. My Fold 2 was a 1.5 years old and was pristine. My Fold 4 is still pristine, but you've heard the stories. How many of you would not buy this device just because it's going to be a folding OLED screen? As the rumor of a single folding screen becomes more real, I am steadily losing my interest in the Duo or Uno. I think a lot of people are going to feel that way because Duo was different, it was unique, and now it's going to be kind of samey. That's a lot of comments of I'm not going to buy it. Oh man. So let me ask you this then. I mean, are you guys still on board on the channel if I'm talking about the Pixel Fold and stuff like that? If I pivot to something else, I mean, when Duos, well, I'm going to be covering Duo 2, you know, when they've not been available to be purchased for 1.5 years. Going to have to pivot, guys. You're going to have to roll with me because I can't keep covering a device that isn't available to be purchased forever. Microsoft, obviously, this thing is always cutting stuff off. My goodness. Okay. Slide it up. Cut it out. Okay. Microsoft obviously waited until Samsung figured out things, and now they're ready to release their own Fold. I will 100% buy, and fingers crossed we'll have a cloud Windows 10 this year for consumers. It's an interesting perspective. I mean, I don't know to what degree they were waiting on. Maybe there is some truth to the idea that they weren't sold on folding OLED and wanted to go this route instead. And who knows? I've not heard these things, but you know, who knows? Hey, there's my wife. Hello, Jesse. How are you at work? I mean, at that point, it's more directly competing against Pixel and Z Fold. I'm assuming you mean when they already don't. Yeah, I mean that's something I've said before. They would be throwing right now. Duo can differentiate itself. It's like, well, it's different than the Fold, though. It's different than the Fold. Well, it won't be different than the Fold, and the Fold will likely have a hell of a head start on them in a lot of different ways. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for them to compete. They're going to have, the software is going to have to be wild. They're going to have something really, really impressive. Maybe if they go really hard on unique software, but they don't have a good track record with that. 100%. 100%. Zach's reporting made it sound like Duo 3 will also have a taller screen like Galaxy Fold. Yeah, I mean, I didn't necessarily see that part. I may have just glossed over it because I was reading it very quickly. But if they do go skinnier like that, that's going to be a hard one for me, because like a big reason why I leave my Fold and go back to my Duo is because I like the wider screens on Duo, which makes me gravitate towards the Oppo Find N2 and whenever the Pixel Fold eventually comes out. Let's see here. You know, the good news about Duo 2 is that, you know, it's going to continue getting software support for another, you know, almost 2 years, and that's good. But if you can't buy it, right? Like maybe once the supply chain stuff gets better, maybe they'll do like another run of Duo 2, and maybe Duo 2 will kind of be like their light thing, cut the price a little bit. I don't know. It is a bummer though, because it's gonna make. I mean, look, if I'm being totally honest with you guys, I cover Duo a lot on this channel, obviously, and you know, Duo 2 is, yeah, if we're stuck with Duo 2 for another over a year, I'm gonna have to start really getting creative, finding stuff to talk about to keep stuff going. I'm kind of in, you know, I'm sure a lot of people will feel that way. I agree. I like the 3x4 or 4x3 depending on how you're holding it. Oh yeah, but see, that means I got to buy a Yoga i9, which then again, I mean, I guess if AD keeps doing these super chats, he might just pay for it himself. You know, that might just be how I buy it. He's just going to eventually super chat enough that pays for it. Why does it seem more and more like the Pixel Notepad in this new Duo? I don't know. It's very suspicious, isn't it? Have we ever seen them in the same place at the same time? That's the question. I mean, I'm rooting for it, right? Like I obviously, like, I don't want it to be bad. I want it to be really, really good. But they're gonna have to prove it to me because they're going. We just started getting Duo 2 and Duo 1 to be kind of, you know, going well, and now we're going in a totally different direction. So yeah, their screens, the 2x1 thing, I think they're even more than 2x1. They're even more than that. I don't love it. They actually do have a patent for exactly that. Whether or not it's going to happen is another question. Duo 3 might miss this year, is going to be a single screen folding. Let's see, what else? Yeah, the vanishing widgets on the far left screen thing. Be cool if they went ahead and fixed that. That'd be neat. Let's see here. Do you think I should buy Duo 2 or wait for Duo 3? I mean, you may be waiting a while from the sounds of this. I'm quite disappointed that, I mean, goodness gracious, guys. We're going to be, what, 2 years? That's craziness. But I mean, that kind of really does tell you. I actually had a video already filmed that I'm not going to be able to publish now where I talked about some of this stuff because some of the stuff in it is dated at this point. It was going to go out tomorrow. Boo. But it kind of does tell you, like, they're not really that concerned with Duo sales and public perception because they're focused on number 3. Number 3 is going to be the one that they care about. They really don't care that much about 1 and 2, clearly, because if they're comfortable waiting like 2 years to put out the next phone, they're not really worried. They're worried about sticking the landing on 3, and that seems to be like their only concern, for better or for worse. If it does get delayed till 2024 before we get it, though, then I may have upgraded to something else since my Duo 1. Yeah, absolutely. And then you're going to be out of sync with them. You've just upgraded. This thing comes out, and you're like, well, maybe I would have, but I just bought this thing. It's something I thought about when this news broke when I was visiting with my mom. I had Rose. You might be able to see Rose in there. Yeah, you can vaguely see her about right there. There. I was driving home when I saw this news break, and I was thinking the same thing. People are going to buy new phones, and by then, people aren't going to wait this long. It's a long time. Let's see here. That would be cool. I would use that. I mean, I guess if you suggest it, I guess I have to do it because you've financed my channel to such a large degree in this video. You're right. I actually do need to look at VR stuff more often. I have my VR headset. The only thing I ever do with it is I play Thrill of the Fight, and that's literally it. I need to do more with it. Asus ZenBook Duo and Surface Duo 2 are perfect. Yeah, that ZenBook Duo is slick. Just shows how long it takes Microsoft to release a device. It is wild. This is definitely true. I will continue covering that stuff as well. I mean, it almost sounds to me like this is Duo 4. Duo 3 was a dual screen device that got canceled and Duo 4 got moved up, which explains why we have an extra year plus of development time. We also saw them develop and cancel a Duo 2 Go, a light version that was a dual screen thing. So they just keep making hardware, canceling it, and kicking the can down the road. So kind of, almost. Let's see. Damn. It does feel that way sometimes, doesn't it? Bring back the Nokia phones, throw it through a brick wall, totally fine out the other side. It does feel that way at this moment. It does, in fact, feel that, that they are. Oh, goodness. So if you missed this early on, yeah, Zach actually did mention in the article that they are apparently experimenting. What happened to the chat thing now? It's lost its mind. He did actually mention that they are experimenting with traditional phones. Oh, I see. It's because I was on a different screen. Duh, I knew that. Speaking of as big as a brick, I'm supposed to be getting that Unihertz tank phone sent to me. They actually mailed it and it got lost in the post, so they've mailed it again. So that's cool. So I'll have a giant phone to review here soon. Are you talking about the 360 folding display patent or the display patent where there's like plastic in the middle where the hinge is, so it's not made of glass? I've seen both of those, and I don't think either one of them are going to be relevant to this device. I think it will be neither one of those things. I would like to see a Surface, like a normal Surface phone. That would be cool. I mean, look, if it's good, no problem with it. You know, like if like we've talked, if the software emulates dual screen and then you can span it across the full screen to watch video content on, that's cool. You're going to need to put a kickstand or something on it, right? Because you don't have tent mode anymore, and that's a bummer. But who knows? It might be solid. I don't know how to possibly pronounce your username, but thank you. I'll leave it on screen for a moment. I appreciate that. I want Surface Duo Go. I said goo. My goodness. It might be time for me to end the stream. Bright colors, less fragile material. Yeah, I'm with you. Give us the colorful Lumia colors again and all that stuff. That would be very, very cool. So a lot of people talked about that. You know, people saying like on the Fold that they could scratch the screen with their nail. From my experience, I mean, you use a pin with it, right? And it seems to be fine. Unless you're like really digging in there, I think that I don't think that's really too big of a problem with the current hardware. Is that pronounced? I'm going to go with Maurice, something like that. Thank you so much for that. It was a Star Trek reference. I may have never watched Star Trek ever in my entire life, but I understand now a bit better anyways. Yeah, I was also hoping for that against hope, hoping against all the reporting that was not going to be the case. You may be waiting for a while because who knows? At this point, we're going to be in a neck and neck race. Who will get there first between Microsoft and Apple? Who would have ever thought that it would wind up being this close? The classic Microsoft sinking ship feeling. I don't know. I mean, it may wind up being good. I need to hop on Telegram and talk to some people and see what people have heard and try and get some information and go from there. But it does seem, I get why people are disappointed for sure. And judging by the responses when I asked, would you buy a folding OLED? And like all of you said no, you know, not great. I'm going to run a poll. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and, I'll do it after I'm done. I'll make a poll. You'll see it in the community page and we'll go from there. AD, just add it again, dude. Come on. I don't even know. What do I say? What are you up to now? 50? 50, it's 100. That's 120. 170. 230. You've almost donated $300, dude. What could I possibly be doing that is worth that to you? I mean, don't get me wrong, super thankful. I think nails would be fun in a folding OLED. They are similar to old resistive touchscreens with their, yeah, you're not far from the truth. You're gonna have to really dig your nail in to make a dent or a scratch in these things as they are currently. I've had a lot of people ask for me to play music on this channel, and I don't know that I ever will. Probably will not happen. You can just look at them in the background. That is a great question. Thank you for bringing that up, because that's Samsung just got that going, right? They just got the digitizer in their folding screen. So they have to have the pin support. They have to. I'm glad you brought that up, because that was totally something I was forgetting. Zach did not mention that to my knowledge in the article either, but they have to have the pin. If they don't, that's a huge step back. You don't need a screen on the front. What are you talking about? You just fold it around. It's fine. You know, screen on the front. Look at this guy. I don't think. I mean, they're fully committed to Android. And Zach talked about this as well. I've been beating this drum for a while. They're fully committed to Android. That is where they're going. That is their mobile operating system. Luckily, it all goes into one pool, so we should be okay on that. That's actually funny. Is it official to have Surface Duo 3? I mean, Surface Duo 3, this is what we know. It's in development, but it's not going to have 2 screens. That's pretty much it. How would I even begin to do that? That would be interesting. Appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Was this in reference to the guitar thing? I'm trying to dig back through these comments. Let's see here. There's usually, they both just got a new bone today, so they're probably both off hiding someplace with their bones. They may be outside because it's not as cold today. I would love to see some leaks of all of these prototypes, because, you know, we've potentially seen a dual screen Duo 3, which is going to have wireless charging, and like the one I wanted, we've seen potentially a prototype of a 360 hinged device, and we've seen now the current one. I would love to see, and I know a guy who gets a hold of prototypes, so maybe there's some photos floating around. Stop encouraging them. We're going to have a Fold 5, Pixel Fold, probably maybe a Surface Duo folding thing, probably not that year. Oppo Find N2. Obviously, Huawei stuff, Xiaomi stuff, lots of stuff. Hopefully, OnePlus brings the Find N2 over. I would love for it to be the 360 hinge, but I don't think that tech is ready yet. And I also think it was going to be extremely expensive. Extremely expensive. There are actually, is what I meant to say, there are Surface Neos floating around where they were meant to be disposed of at a factory, and someone took some of them. There is one that, as of a few months ago, was, I think, operational, that somebody was trying to sell on the internet in some shady backroom dealing. So this stuff does happen. I have seen them. I have seen these things with my own eyes. Let's see here. The good news is, Mr. Gonzalez, you do still have your Duo 2, and you do still have almost 2 years of software support still coming. So take heart in that it will continue to improve. But if you were hoping to purchase a new upgraded version with 2 screens, I understand your disappointment. This is also a perspective that I can understand. Panos is now the head of this Android thing. where they've put Android, all their Android stuff under one banner. Panos is in charge of this. This could wind up being a good thing. I don't see a problem. Make Surface and Surface Duo 2 the best experience as a software that is optimized for multitasking. Absolutely. They could still just bring that software over like I talked about earlier, and things would be okay. Yeah, Neo looked very, very cool. And now I'm going to have to buy the Yoga Neo, I guess. Sure, I see HP Elite, actually. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. What else? Will foldable watches ever be a thing? What do you mean? Like you have like a watch and then like you like open it up into a bigger watch? That's actually genius. That's actually a really interesting idea. Maybe that's not even what you meant. I don't know. You think we'll ever get something reasonably priced? Eventually, yes, we are actually creeping up on it. But I think the one you're going to get first is like a Z Flip, because those are already getting under that $1,000 mark. The normal one, I think, is going to take a little bit longer to get there. But I think I don't know. Eventually, it's got to happen. Let's see here. I would love to see, I talked about this in a recent video, I'd love to see some sort of Surface Band brought back. There's one dog. There's Rutherford, who I'm sure those of you that have been following the channel for a while heard about all of his medical issues, and he's doing A-okay. He's doing just fine. And the Rose is behind me. You probably aren't going to be able to see her. She's like directly behind me. Let's see here. Should Microsoft add ultra power saving mode? Yeah, I mean, battery life on that, you know, if you're keeping your Duo 2 for like 3 years, the battery life started off not so great. It's going to continue to deteriorate. Would love to see them do something, because the power saving mode doesn't really work. Doesn't really do anything. No event, just an article, which I'm going to paste again in the chat. So go click on that and go give them a click. Long version short, Duo 3, probably going to miss, very likely to miss this year. Won't be 2 screens, will be a single folding OLED screen. I know a lot of you are just now popping in and are going to be missing out on that. Yeah. Someone grabbed it and took it straight to Lenovo. That's very funny. Let's see here. What else? Yeah, the Fold is a bit pricey. Somebody I think mentioned that you can get folding devices renewed for fairly cheap now, and that is true. I can't find the comment. I don't see it now, but that was mentioned earlier, and that is true. I think it's the right. Oh man, it depends on what your goal is, right? Is your goal to compete with the Z Fold directly, to try and sell as many as the Z Fold? Then yeah, probably. You have to go toe to toe with them. If your goal was to truly carve out your own niche and serve that, maybe not. Maybe not. It's really going to come down to what your goal was, though. Yeah, so mine is really inconsistent. Some nights it'll go from 100 to like 93 and it's really good. Some nights it'll be in the 70s and I have no idea why. It seems to depend on some factor that I'm unable to fully isolate. And sell it for $500. Put a low end chip in it, power sipping. Let's see here. What else? I mean, I use a sleek strip for everything because of this. This allows me to reach the top of the screen really easily. It allows me, when I'm in this mode, nice and easy, sleek strip all the way. Maybe this was a version of that comment about getting them cheaper. Yeah, I mean, that would differentiate them, but I would be shocked if they go that route. I've heard nothing of the sort. So I don't think that's going to happen. How long is this stream been going? About 40 minutes. Let's kind of start wrapping up here. We've kind of covered all this stuff, and I've got a video that I have to remake now that is dated. I should have posted it yesterday when I filmed it. Then it would have been fine. But now some stuff has changed, so I need to kind of reconfigure this video a little bit. I don't know. We'll see what I need to do. What else do we have here before we kind of close things up? I do agree. Where did this go? Duo feels better in the hand. I always fear dropping the fold more. Yeah, I definitely do fear dropping the fold more. But they do both feel pretty good in the hand to me. Just one feels a bit more like a brick than the other. That's actually very, very smart. That's very, very smart. The Bixby routines are actually really cool. Here's my favorite Bixby routine. In tablet mode, auto rotate on, right? Phone mode, auto rotate off. Pretty cool. Bixby's not totally useless. Be lying to people now. That's not what I said. I want to do it with NFC and wireless charge, but no camera bump. Unfortunately, that may never happen. Let's see. Windows 11 for smartphone is very unlikely at this time since they are yet to make that OS fully touch-centric, and they're not even trying to make it touch-centric, to be honest. They're not doing much at all. Not just touch-centric, but dual screen-centric also not happening. Do you think it could be Huawei's Mate X style foldable? Is the Mate X the one that is only one screen and it folds the other way? So instead of folding like this, it folds the other way around? Because if that's that one, no, it is supposed to be like the Z Fold. Let's see. I can understand the perspective. All right, guys. I think I'm going to wrap it up here. Thanks for watching. Huge thanks for all the super chats. Way more than I could have ever reasonably expected to have happen. I appreciate that a ton. Thanks to Zach for his reporting, for being able to kind of confirm the things that I have heard. I don't have as long of a relationship with some of the people that I've spoken to that I think that he does. So when I hear things, I might not come to you guys with them directly because I don't know if they're true or not, right? Because I've had, some of the things have happened, some of them haven't. But, he's come forward and kind of confirmed some of the things I've said were maybe happening, which is great. So great job by Zach with his reporting here too. Like I said in the beginning of the video, move some of these things from the rumored column into the almost certainly true, very, very heavily rumored column. We can't say they're 100% true because you never know. They're behind the scenes canceling stuff left, right, and center. So who knows what's going on behind the scenes. But at any rate, thank you for becoming an official member, Chris. I appreciate that. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't. Maybe some of you guys have not subscribed. Let me go redo this video from the other day. I will see you guys on the next one. And until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.